We got to be ready. All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? We're back again. Hey, how's it going? Mom's already with us. What's going on, Mom? Good to see you. It is Thursday, bleh, February 15th. And oh my gosh, I'm back outside, down below the deck in the backyard, doing the live stream, the coffee and cigars, another week here on episode 180. 180. That's great. How you all doing today? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. I'm Jay. I'm your host here on the OL Live channel. So I've got the heater right here. Like you really can't see it on the screen, but it's right. It's literally right there, and it's starting to burn me. So how's everyone doing this week? Hope everything's well. I there's no way to really keep this like at a low burn, like at a low simmer. A low simmer would be just right. Instead, it has these 5 plates, right? This is a 30,000 BTU heater. And I used one very similar to this at the roastery to heat up the main room. So this in proximity to where I am is like, good Lord, man, I got to turn that down. Whew. Turn that off for a bit because it's just like it's so close. Like I think my jacket's like half of my body is hot, but the other half isn't. So, what's going on there? Rusty's back with us. What's going on, Rusty? How are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. So tonight we've got some more coffee. We're back from the road and we're doing coffee and cigars as always. Last week we had a nice coffee at where were we last week? We were at Capital Cigar. Capital Cigar, really great guys down there, Payam and Will and everybody, and George, Stephanie and Tony and everyone was there. It was really kind to let us come and broadcast from there. I think we might be going back there in about 2 weeks. We're going to be back there doing more broadcasting on the 29th. I think we're going to do that. We were talking about doing a live from Capital on the 29th for the Mirfell tasting. I think that'd be kind of interesting. I'm curious about the Mirfell tasting myself, so So how's everyone doing, man? What's going on? How's your week? Everything happening good, or everything in my world has been pretty good? What did I do this week? I got a bunch of videos released on the channel, and we're slowly making progress on our new space. So as you know, I closed up the roastery because our landlord told us to get out, so we got out of there, and I've located a location basically across the street, and we're going to do. The plan there is to do carry-out service. So, actually, let me start to brew the coffee, and I'll tell you more about that. What's going on, Tony? How are you, man? Good to see you. So today's coffee is basically the coffee I'm planning to use for the new venture as our main coffee. It's really just the coffee I've used for many years now. It's called the House Nation, and there it is. This is in a coarse ground because we're doing full immersion brewing using the Bona Vita immersion dripper. I got to make sure that the valve is closed. One thing about these, there's a valve here, right? And so if you look here at the valve, it opens and closes. So you got to make sure it's closed. Otherwise, you're in trouble, right? And, that's my word from experience. Now, one of the things that's out here is that it's pretty chilly outside, about 40 degrees. So it's this ceramic is gonna be kind of cold. So George is with us, Rusty's with us. Good to see you guys. So good to have you guys. So good to see you. And I got some water. Let me just make sure it gets on the boil here because it's colder. I got the water. The water will, once you turn off, the water like plummets in temperature. So we have a timer. I have a timer on the thing. Oh, George is with us. Hey guys, glad to hear the Mirfell plan is moving forward. Well, as long as it's okay on your guys' end, it's up to you. It's really up to your kind hosting. I'm not smoking tonight thanks to a cough that's been bothering me, but I'm looking for excellent. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that too, man. My friend, good. Sorry to hear you're feeling a little bit under the weather. And Rusty's asking, are you going to do pour over mainly batch brewing drip? I think we're going to. Well, no, we're going to do batch brewing drip coffee. That's the plan. All right, so I've got the Bona Vita. Okay. Let me just do it this way so you can see it better. And I'm gonna add the water in. It is 4:49 on the timer. We're gonna go to 7:49. So I put a little bit in here so that it will Oh, I'm gonna break that glass by putting that on there. I just put it in there so we have a little bit of blooming going on, right? This is the House Nation. So it's the idea behind the House Nation is that it's a very accessible coffee that we want to have chocolatey notes, a little bit of nuttiness, maybe a little bit of fruit towards the end, something that's very accessible and very easy to pair. Something that will go both ways, meaning that it will be good black, and then it will also be good if you want to add cream and sugar. So now we're going to add more water. Right, I'm going to put this down here, and I'm just going to break the crust that's formed and just pour it over like that. Now this is a more or less about 12 ounces, so I don't really have to measure it. You know me, I'm not one to measure too much about things like that. I'm a little bit more rock and roll in that respect. But so basically, my initial thought with this whole venture was that. So George is asking, so the Thursday 20, that is the plan. That is the current plan. So hopefully that will not fall through. But if it does, no big deal. We'll move on and do something else. But George seems to be on track with that. So I'm pretty excited. Reinhard Poren is coming back to town. So I got to meet Reinhard when he was here last summer. They came by the roastery, had a cigar, really had a great time hanging out with him. Got to pick his brain a little bit about luxury branding. So that was really interesting. But what I was saying is that when I first started on this idea, the idea was to like do something called the $5 coffee, right? So meaning that for $5, you would get a coffee and a pastry, and we would deliver the normal coffee that we normally deliver at Spro, really nice quality brewed coffee. And for $3, that's a good price point that we can match. You know, the coffee costs more nowadays, but it doesn't cost significantly more that we can't make that price point. And but the problem is that, you know, to do pastry at that price point, it does have to meet us. It has to stay. My wholesale price has to stay below a certain threshold. And George is saying that that's the plan. Thanks, Rusty. That's the plan. Pretty sure the reason I'm not feeling so hot is because I committed to a dry start to the. So George took on a dry January, like a lot of people did, and I guess he's paying the price. So my condolences there, George, on that. So the idea was to do this $5 coffee and a pastry. But like I said, you know, in order to meet that price point, the wholesale price of the pastry couldn't go above a certain threshold. And one of the things is that, you know, throughout the history of Spro, we've always had our own kitchens. You know, we built a full baking kitchen in Hamden when we opened that. And, you know, there's a big expense involved with building your own kitchen and then maintaining it. And then, you know, one of the things with Spro was always that I could pursue. We're past the time. I got to open this valve here. I'm going to put this down here on top of here. I'm going to brew right into our thermal fellow Carter. Oh, so open this up. There we go. As you can see, it's slowly dripping down. So the thing with Spro was that was always, since we had our own kitchens, we sourced very high quality ingredients. We could be uh, as obsessed as we want to be, right? Like, I mean, the whole idea was that, you know, it was basically no holds barred. Like, if we wanted to do something, we wanted to do it really, really well. Like, in many respects, I'm kind of a psycho, you know, in that respect. Like, you know, we want to have something great. Like the idea, the whole premise of Spro is that we wanted people to come in and be stoked that they were there that day. Like that was really the way that we communicated with our staff. Is it wasn't that we want them to be happy, we want them to be satisfied, we want them to have a, you know, satisfactory. We don't want to have that. Satisfactory is like, I think satisfactory sucks, right? Like when I get like people to send me like, you know, what is it, reviews, not reviews, but like surveys, and they're like, was your experience satisfactory? And I'm like, do you want me to have a satisfactory experience? Is that enough for you? Because that's not enough for me, right? Or at least historically it hasn't. So let's see here, what do we have going on? Yes, the 29th at Capitol. Can heathens like myself? Yes, I believe you certainly can. Yes, of course. the more the merrier. So yes, if you want to come down, and you can come down, George. We'd love to hang out with you, talk cigars on the show, or maybe we won't talk so much. We'll just listen to Reinhardt tell us what we should know about cigars, because he probably knows more than we ever do. All right, so I've got the coffee in here, right, in my thermal mug, so it should be pretty hot. Oh, it's got nice fruity notes on the nose. Cacao, a little bit of dryness, like a dry nuttiness. And I'm getting like a raisiny dry grape as well. So it's coming through pretty well what I would like to have with it. But anyway, like I was saying, so for the whole time, I've always been really into just going all out at it. And the problem with having a $5 price point, and then eventually decide to go to $6 to cover some of the extraneous costs like credit card fees and other stuff like that. And it was like, oh, even at $6, you still have to stay within a certain threshold. And that means that you have to go for more mass produced product, right? Like bigger companies that can produce en masse that may not produce product to the same level that we would have done in our own kitchens in the past. And I've been like okay with that. I've been okay with that. And then I was, talked to some friends, and they were like, "Well, you sure you want to do that?" One of my friends Cirillo came to visit, and he was like, I was telling him my plan, and he's like, "What are you talking about? That's not who you guys are." And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get that. But I was like, we want to. He's like, "Why did you even think about $6.6?" And a number of people have asked me, "Why do you think about $6?" And I was like, well, it's just a price that I feel is good for most people, right? It's kind of a no-brainer price, right? Like, but the problem is I went to this coffee shop in Baltimore City. I stopped by because I saw it and I was like, I've never seen it before. So I stopped by, and they had this coffee from Ethiopia. Nice coffee, get chefe, really kind of bright and light and kind of a little bit fruitiness to it. Really kind of nicely brewed, nicely brewed. They brewed in one of those Marco SP89s and those automated brewers, really nicely done. And then they gave me a muffin. I bought a muffin with it, right? And it was kind of like the muffin similar to one of the ones that I had been considering from one of the bigger manufacturers. And you know what? And don't get me wrong, I have been tasting all these pastries with this same coffee, right? But when I actually had it in the field, in a shop, paying money for it, and I didn't pay that much. It was maybe like $6, $7 so total or something like that. It just wasn't thrilling. Like it was good, but it wasn't thrilling, right? So I don't know, man. Oh, Rusty says, I'm on spring break Thursday after Easter. Yeah, man, come on down, man. Come on down. Love to have you down here, man. Yeah, man. See, everybody's ready for you. Everybody's ready for you. Hey, and Cyril was right. He was one of the ones that was like, hey, what are you doing? A couple of the guys were telling me that as well up here in Baltimore. And so now I've kind of like changed on that. Like, even one of my friend in Salt Lake City who runs Cafe de Bola, he was like, dude, you should make it an $8 price point. 8 is the new 5. And I was like, no, dude. And that guy is super hardcore. Like, he's more psychotic than I am. Like, I think he's a psycho, right? I think I'm normal. He's a psycho. But he was like, dude, you should be at $8. $8 is the new $5. I was like, yeah, but I kept thinking, eight's still too much. But you know what, now that I've had the taste of it, it's like, okay, I guess really, it's kind of like having the Drew Estate factory, well, the factory sec, not factory seconds, factory smokes, right? You try one, they're like $3, or at least when I tried them, they were $3 before the pandemic. Nice, right? Like, okay, I need a cheap cigar to just smoke and like, be friendly to my budget. I smoked one, okay, good enough, two, good enough, three, okay. 4 and 5, I was like, okay, man, I can't take it anymore. Like this is really not really my wheelhouse, right? And I was smoking the Maduros, and it just wasn't of the right quality for me, right? So I think that's kind of where I am now. I found a bakery here in Baltimore whose product I did like, and they do wholesale. So I'm gonna go talk to them at some point. We're still kind of far from that. And Rusty's saying, do you have a timetable when you might open the new shop? Well, who knows? I mean, we're only in the middle of February now. Easter's at the end of March. So maybe by the time you come down, it'll be ready. Like once, so we've got some things to take care of in the space. And once those are taken care of, it should be relatively easy to roll. But let's not talk too much about that because let's move on to our cigar of the week. Because, and I'll continue babbling on. But might as well get lit because this is a Toro cigar. And, it's one of those things where if I don't start it, we'll be here till like 11. So one of the things I want to ask you guys also is that now, so again, well, I had everything set up. I had all the equipment, multiple cameras, switchers, and everything set up out here, lighting. And then it started to rain about 45 minutes ago. So I tore it all out because I was like, I can't be here I can't have all this set up if it's raining. And now it's stopped. And so, but I'm back on the phone. How's the phone doing? Like I actually was watching some of the footage earlier today from last week's stream. And like I'm using StreamYard, but I'm using the free service. So it's broadcasting at 720p. And so whether I'm doing it from the computer with bigger cameras or from the phone, it's still running at 720p. And like, for me, honestly, it doesn't look as sharp, right? So for those of you who've seen the morning live stream, like I think that looks sharper image-wise than this, right? What do you think? Let me know what you think. The phone is good so far. Okay, good, good, good. I know the humidor is looking empty. It's a look. I didn't fill it up yet. Yeah, the audio is surprisingly good. I mean, last week I hadn't tested it, and I was just kind of relying on the fact that Apple's product is usually pretty good at making nice audio. Like they have algorithms ability built into the phone that are kind of like, I don't know, triangulating or whatever they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. So I wasn't too worried about that, but you know. And Tony says better than the last video on the porch. Really better? Was that the one where raining like halfway in the house and halfway out? I don't remember. All right, so let's look here. We got the. How is this work? Is this gonna work? This is gonna work. There it is. Boom! Right there. There's our cigar. So today's cigar of the week. This is the one that I smoked the other week. The one from Gran Habano. This is their Lancero version, made for a guy up in New Jersey. This thing, I'll tell you about in a moment. And then here's our Metapa. And then I've got this one for next week. I forgot the name of this. I can't remember there, but it's kind of like a play on another cigar. Oh man, the stand is a metal stand and it's pretty darn cool. All right, so we've got our Metapa. But that other one, the Gran Habano, man, that thing beat me to a pulp. I was all like feeling ill after smoking that. Like I smoked one and that was the end of that. The lighting is much better. Here's the interesting thing. This is where the iPhone really makes some kind of difference, right? So like the other cameras are much more, what do you call it? Much more much more manual. They're all manual control. I have them all set to manual. So I can control the exposure better. The iPhone is just Apple color science. Whatever Apple's doing to it, I'm not changing anything. I'm not setting it up. There is another app that I could use, or that I do use from recording, called the Blackmagic Camera app that I can control all the parameters of the phone. This is just Apple's Cinemagic, right? So the lighting is actually a lot less, right? If I was using the other cameras, I'd have to boost the ISO a lot more. Because I'm using different lighting, right? I'm actually using no light. All this is ambient lighting. So the lighting that's here is this wall lighting, this sconce that's over here, and maybe a little bit of bleed from inside. And then I've got a bunch of string lights right there. And that's really it. That's it. There's nothing else. Like I do have this light here to use if I wanted to use it, but that's off. So yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on there with that. All right, so we've got our Metapa, and I've got the score sheet here. So we're gonna do the full deal again. But if you can see the Metapa, looks the lighting is gonna be a little bit trickier for the Metapa, but there it is. That looks pretty nice. It feels Nice and silky. The wrapper feels nice and silky. It's Ecuadorian Sumatra. I don't know if this is a Maduro. I think this is the Claro wrapper, but I believe it's Ecuadorian Sumatra. I'm gonna mark out our thirds. I don't have the overhead. Like I said, I don't have the overhead camera, so my apologies. We're gonna have to just kind of roll with it. It's kind of got a nice light milky color. Tony says it's beautiful on your phone. Excellent, excellent. I don't know if it's so cold that I'm not really getting. There's a little hint of something kind of tobacco-ish. I can't really tell. I can't really tell. I have no idea. All right, so let's get we've got our Tonino Lamborghini cutter again. My cousin gave this to me several years ago. It's just what I have at hand. And so this is, let's go over this. So the Metapa is a little bit of a box pressed, right? Light box press. It's not as, maybe it's as hard a box press as like the Revenge. It's got a little bit of pigtail here at the top, right? That's kind of nice, right? And then Tony says, I did not cut that straight. Oh, I did. Man, not too bad. Not too bad. Tony says it is a Claro, and Tony's smoking the SNS CRA Natural and a Dietary Pepsi. Excellent, excellent. What about the rest of you guys? What are y'all smoking tonight? Let's do some dry. What is it called? Dry. Cold draw. The interesting thing with this cold draw, so it's like 40 some degrees, maybe upper 30s, maybe it's to 39. And as I'm drawing, there's enough space in the cigar. It's not like loose, but it feels, I can actually feel cool air, cold air hitting my tongue. Honestly, I'm not getting much flavor. I don't know why. But not bad. All right, so let's do some lighting with our Hacksmith Mini Saber. I don't know if this element is changing to red anymore. Light red. Maybe it's just too cold. Oh, there we go. Now it's getting red. You know what red color is? Red is the color of the Sith Lords. Well, you know what? If I'm going to join and have a lightsaber, I'm running out of crystals. I have not refilled it since the first show that we brought this out on. So actually, not bad. But I'm going to have to refill it now. I did message the guys from Hacksmith, and I said, hey, guys, one complaint. What this thing needs is a ring on the hilt so I can hook it to my tunic or my utility belt. It was a little bit... Okay, now it's fully... And George says, man, the 1 week I'm not smoking a Foundation blend, and it's the week you let one up. My father, La Opulencia for you. Oh, nice, nice. Well, I'm actually surprised. And a little bit disappointed. Oh, it's true, it's true. You know, right off the bat, spice, complexity, and strength. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, we have to. So really, I didn't get much on the cold draw. I got a little bit in the fragrance. I'm going to say 7.5. Now, I think that the 7.5, the lack of the higher scores is mainly because I'm not really getting much flavor. I didn't get much flavor, maybe because it's just too cold. You know, for that olfactory tasting or whatever. But there's good smoke production. Man, actually, it's quite tasty, this cigar. I gotta say, I'm kind of liking it. Let me turn on some more heat here. I got my farm boots on tonight. These farm boots, I gotta say, man, I just got some cotton socks in there. Just real, regular like athletic cotton socks. Man, my feet feel comfortable. They're nice and toasty. These muck boots, farm boots, I'm really enjoying them. I got size too large, I think, so that I could fit more into because my calves are kind of thick. And man, I'm looking forward to the time when if I get the shorter cut boots, I'm gonna get my normal size, like 11s. Actually, speaking of like chubbiness, right? I've been editing the videos from Asia, right? So if you watch the main channel, you'll see all these videos coming out, and so I've been editing them, and so I shot those all May and June. I was in Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Japan, and I'm looking at some of the footage today from Japan. I was like, man, you know what? In the middle of June, this is like June 16th. Man, like I am fat, like right, like I look at myself in those pictures in those videos. I'm like, oh man, I really was a lot chubbier, fatter back then. Like I can see it. I can see it. Like looking at those footage now, I was like, holy moly, what is going on there? Like I was under the impression back then, like I'm walking around Tokyo, right? Like 16 hours a day, 16 to 20,000 steps a day. All right, I'm losing. If I lived in a city like that and walked like that most days, man, I'd be a svelte Momo, right? Like I'm working on this one video now. When my friends got a house in Sano, which is about an hour, 2 hours by train outside the city. If you drove really fast, you could probably get there in an hour. So it's probably, let's say if we're in, maybe let's say if you're in New York City, it's like it's like in Princeton, maybe. And beautiful out there. So I went out there. This is the video I'm working on now, the visit to Sano. So I went out there, took the train, and it's really country, real rural, real pretty. Like I really think it's a pretty place. It's kind of like where I live now, kind of countryside, but more country than where I am. It's like if you were living up in where Tony lives, probably. But the problem is like they have transportation there. Like you can there's buses and trains and all that, but they run at such abbreviated schedules compared to Tokyo. Like Tokyo, you go on the trains, it's every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, right? There, it's like every half an hour. So you're like, oh my gosh, man, I couldn't. You either have to you really want to have a car because it's not convenient. Like so, just like it would be here in the suburbs of America, in the suburbs, rural part of Japan, you still gotta have a car. So it's like, oh, that would not, even if I lived there, like it would not be cool. Like I went there because my friends had this thing called what's it called? Kominari? I think it's called Kominari, which basically are these abandoned homes that people are abandoning, like these old homes that people are just leaving behind because they're going to the cities or they're dying off. Oh man, it's so hot. Like my knees are like burning. And they're they're taking these houses and renovating. Like my friends got this house. Well, it must have been belonged to a shogun, right? Like this house is like as far as like Edo era, like or maybe Meiji era, like it's probably more. It's probably more Edo. No. It's probably more Meiji because Edo, Meiji, and then Showa, and then Heisei eras, right? I think it was more Meiji era. So right before 1930 something, the Showa era started in 1930 something, and so this house was built in the Meiji era, like probably the late 1800s. So really old school. Like it's the kind of house you see in the movies, right? And like Wolverine, like that kind of house. Not as big, but that level of like old school Japan. But here's the interesting thing: in Japan, those houses are worthless. Like nobody wants them. It's a very strange thing. Like when you come from the United States, American culture, where like we think about houses, right, and preserving houses. There, the house gets 30 years old. They want to tear that stuff down. Right? They just want to knock it down, build new. All the value of your house is in the land itself, right? Because the basic premise there is that spend $500,000 or whatever, build a house, live in it for 30 years, sell the house to someone else, they tear the house down, they build a new one, they live there for another 30 years. You know, they're raising families. And so when you get older, you sell off the house, you take that money, you buy a nice flat somewhere, and then you live until you drop dead. So that's kind of their thing. So like the houses are really just to Japanese, they're just like, well, we don't really care about them. But you can get crazy nice houses for relatively cheap, like $20,000, maybe even less. Of course, they're way out somewhere far, like in Sano, away from the major cities. Like I saw this one listing for maybe, I thought, I want to say right now is $130,000. Maybe it was even less. It could have been 35,000 for all I remember. I don't really remember, but it was this house that, again, looked like a shogun's house, but like 2 hours outside of Osaka. And it's like, oh, who wants to live out there? Like, it's in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know. So I went out there and hung out with them, and it was really, really beautiful, beautiful. They spent all these years rebuilding this house. And I tell you what, man, it's gorgeous. They were featured in CNN. So if you look on CNN and you look under, what Coming Nutty? Is it Coming Nutty? I don't think that's the right term. If you look under like old, like renovated Japanese houses, old, something like that, you'll find that Paul and Kimberly, they're friends of mine from college, and the house was a wreck. Like the house was just like in total disarray. And these houses, since they're all single wall construction, they said that, their first year there, or times even now, like inside the house is cold because it's not the whole way that they built houses back in that era was totally different. All right, so the cigar's going well. Like this is actually nice and spicy and flavorful, and I'm really liking it. And the draw is nice because we have this box press. Any ideas on? You guys might know this. Since my phone is my only source of internet at the moment, and I'm using it, I forgot to look up the MSRP on this, but I don't recall. Maybe it's like $16, which if it's $16, that kind of sucks. Only because like it's not that it's not worth it, not that it's bad. It's just that, man, this is nice. Like if this was like in the $9 range, $8 range, you scarf this up all day long. Right now, that's how I feel about it. Like I would scarf this up all day long. Tony says that Metapa was tasty. Yes, it was. Yes, it is. I totally agree. Yeah, this is nice flavor, nice starting. So where's everyone tonight? You guys outside, inside? I know that I know what George and Tony are smoking. What about the rest of you? Is Baldhead with us? I didn't recall seeing his name out there. Craig, if you're here, let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Brian may not. Oh, Brian is with us. What's up, Brian? How are you, man? I was just about to say, I was like, I don't know if Brian's with us because, Brian, if you guys don't know, Brian is out in New Mexico at the moment. His mother-in-law has passed away, so my condolences, man. Sorry to hear that. Hope things are going smoothly as can be. You have a safe return, whatever that might be. George is outside and now can't wait to try them. Are you smoking that tonight as well? Because it's nice. And so one thing about this Metapa is that I was trying to figure out who is this dude on the band, right? Metapa. I forgot to look at what Metapa means. But evidently, this cigar was inspired by the Spanish poet Rubén Darío. And I'm presuming that this is Rubén, right? If I had prepared more, I probably would have looked up his poems and then recited to you some poem in Espanol. I wonder if he wrote poems about cigars. I don't know. Maybe. And so, like I was saying before, like Rusty was asking about how we're going to brew at this new place. So right now the plan is to do batch brewing because really the idea is that we want it to be simple. We want to be able to turn and burn it, right? Meaning that we want people to be able to come, get nice quality product, and then go to work, right? Something fast and quick. So the idea is really only to have brewed coffee, no espresso drinks. Really, I was going to start off with just brewed black coffee, and then you want cream and sugar, you can have that, and then some pastry. But I guess we probably will have to add decaf. And I've been reading things and monitoring things, and I guess we also will have to have some sort of iced coffee or cold brew because evidently people in the wintertime are still buying cold brew like fishes. Which to me seems odd. Like I don't know why it seems odd because I don't drink cold brew in the winter. Actually, I don't drink cold brew that often at all. I don't drink much coffee anyway. So the but definitely people. I'll sit at coffee shops right over the last couple weeks, and I'm like, man, people buying cold brew. It's the middle of winter. What are you buying cold brew for? I don't know why I'm even surprised about that because you know what? I'm drinking Diet Coke. I'm drinking iced tea. Like I'm drinking all that this in the winter, and I want it cold. I don't want it hot. So I don't know why I think that's weird. I just think it's weird. So we're gonna have to have regular coffee, decaf coffee, cold brew, cream and sugar. I'm probably not gonna start out with those other milks, right? Those other like industrial milks. Forget that. Forget that. I'm really kind of against that stuff. Soy milk, oat milk, anything you can't make in house. I'm really kind of against it. We did soy because that was the default for like the last 20 years, 30 years. Now everyone and their mother wants to have like, oh, do you have oat, do you have almond, do you have this? You're like, no, we don't have any of that. Get out. That's really what I say. Get out. All right, safe journey home. Safe journey home. And Tony said, it's the lower city in the, yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, I don't know, man. Like come to think about like how all these like younger guys in the industry, right? Even with cold brew, they want like high acidity, bright sourness. They love that stuff, right? It's that whole like IPA kind of thing. I don't understand it. I'm too old to understand it. Man, this is quite spicy, enjoyable. The black pepper. I'm just enjoying it. Good draw. It's not too heavy in the body, right? Like sometimes you get spice and it's heavy body and you just feel like, oh my God, it's getting pounded. This is not one of those cigars. Some cigars, it's just pounding you in the face, right? This doesn't pound you in the face. Nice medium, spice, enjoyable. Last week I mentioned to you that for the Frenchie, the Roma Craft Frenchie, I got another one before they sold out. And I was gonna, re-smoke it and then do a proper tasting with scoring and all that and notes, but I haven't had the time to do that yet. I haven't really smoked. I think I smoked on Friday, and that was it. I mean, actually, Thursday was a pretty epic smoking night. Like, I did the Intemperance Volstead George Remus, and then and then we had like an hour before the show started. So I was like, well, wait, fine. I'll go get me a Intemperance Izzy Einstein, the little shorty. Bought that, smoked that. Then we smoked the Frenchie for the show, and then after the Frenchie, we went to the lightweight heavy. Man, I was like heavy smoking on that. The 4 cigars in a day, that's a lot. Yeah, man, definitely. Look at that. Ooh, that's nice ash line. I think there's a little bit of a dip right here, mainly because I'm probably pulling on it pretty hard. Like so in this, so the way this is lit, there's light coming off the screen of the phone, so it's more illuminated. Because on my side of it, it's not as white. Now that's probably just because it's lower light that I'm less light old eyes. But nice body, medium, good complexity. There's a nice like flavor gathering, right? I'm just enjoying it, just enjoying it. And I gotta say, I was a little bit, I'm actually a little bit surprised. Like sometimes I don't know why, I just kind of come on, and sometimes I don't know if I'm going to enjoy a cigar. So I'm kind of like, will I enjoy this? I don't know. But I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, made by AJ Fernandez in Esteli, Nicaragua, and it's using what is it using? It's using Jalapa and Esteli long leaf fillers, wrapped with a. It's in the description in the notes down below, but I can't think of what it is now. I wrote it earlier. Some kind of fancy binder, but man, it's really. Whew. This AJ Fernandez. I don't know who he is, but he's making cigars for a lot of people, and I think I'm enjoying a lot of them. And we're getting a little bit of droop. See that little bit of droop? I'm feeling that I need to get rid of it. So I got rid of that. Great. Landed on my cable. Now I'm going to have to clean it up later. This has got a nice flavor. This is one of those cigars I feel like I want to smoke it harder, right? Like, I don't know if you get like this, but you guys know me now by now, and you know that whenever I enjoy a cigar, I start to puff on it pretty heavily. I feel like I could do that now. Tony says that I tried that Metapa back in November when I was in San Diego and loved it. Oh yeah, I totally understand why you would love this. This is really quite nice. Speaking of the cold out here, I don't know, my aunt was telling me, she's like, I think it's going to snow tomorrow. I was like, what going to snow? Have you heard this? Is it going to snow tomorrow? Oof. So we are well into the first third. Oh, man, we are almost finished the first third. Just a few more millimeters, and we'll be done the first third of the Metapa Toro from Foundation Cigar. A Nick Manillo product made by AJ Fernandez. Rusty says it's supposed to snow up here Saturday morning. Wonderful. Ooh. So, Rusty, I know it snowed heavier the other day up there than it did here. Did you, is there still residual snow today, or has it been warm enough so it's all gone? Tony says, resist the urge to chip in. I'm working very hard on that, man. I'm working really hard on doing that. George says, yes, tomorrow night, I'm pissed it will possibly delay my trip to Mount Washington. Oh, no. You're going to Mount Washington tomorrow night? Maybe I'll come up tomorrow night. Let me know. I'll come up. Oh, on Saturday morning. Will I be free Saturday morning? Maybe. Let me know. Ooh. Good cigar. Nice. I like it. Don't let it do that because I'm working. Oh, yeah, man. You got a long commute if it starts to snow, baby. Rusty says snow is still on the ground, but a lot melted by Tuesday afternoon. Okay, good. I'm not really hoping for snow, despite the fact that I finally got the guy to come out and fix my snowblower after the last snow we had here. So there's part of me that's like, I'd like to run the snowblower. But the other part of me is like, I don't really care if we know that. I'd rather prefer not to have that. Tony and George is going to commandeer a snowplow for you, or to get there. No, so there it is. Speaking of which, how is IHOP's national? Oh, you know what? Oh, I'm using the phone. I was going to show you. I got a picture on the phone. So the other day was the third. Whoa. What is today? Today's the 16th or 15th. So Tuesday was National Pancake Day. So free short stack of pancakes at IHOP. Oh, okay. I gotta remember. Let me before we do that. Let me stop here. I'm going to say this is really very good. 8.5 for the flavor. Medium to light body. I'm going to say 8.5 for the body. 17 total. Okay, so National Pancake Day. You go to IHOP and you don't have to buy anything. You can just go there and you can order a short stack of pancakes, 3 pancakes, and they'll give it to you for free because it's National Pancake Day. It happens once a year. I did this last year. And I do enjoy IHOP pancakes. So I went to IHOP, my local one. I go there. Nice girl. Said, I want the short stack and I want the regular stack. 8 pancakes stacked. You can't even cut through it, and you can't. It won't even. You're not even able to stick a fork to get the whole stack at one time. It was so high. It was so crazy. That is how you celebrate National Pancake Day. 8 stack of pancakes. Mamma mia, it was good. The one thing about the IHOP that I went to that I think needs improvement. I should have said this to them. I forgot about it after. On the top of the pancake stacks, they give you a dollop of butter, whipped butter. They also give me a dollop of whipped butter on the side. However, these were still cold, so they're hard. What you really want is room temperature whipped butter so that you can slather that. And so what I'll do is I'll slather a little bit, pick up, and I'll pick up and put, pick up and put, and pick up and put. That's what you want, man. That's what you want. And you're right. With a gallon of syrup, right? So I drizzle the syrup on, man, like a mad dog. That's how you do it. I'm all in favor of that. So now I would never do this 8 stack pancake any other day of the year. And since I've just come off a month of like pastry tasting, this is probably the worst time for it to happen. Because I got to say, I was on the scale the other day. Like I said, compared to summer, I'm like, man, I can see the difference. But I stepped on the scale and I was like, ooh, I didn't lose as much. Like I kind of went up a few pounds, like maybe like 3 pounds. I was like, oh, crap. Because, pretty much I've been daily tasting pastries, muffins, croissants, whatever, danishes, donuts, because I've been like on this tear for the last like 3 weeks trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Now, I don't eat all of it. Like I'll buy a box of stuff, right? So like, let's say, typically, if depending what they have, I'll usually get a blueberry muffin or some kind of muffin to see what their muffin texture's like, then a croissant, then almond croissant, because that's my favorite, and then a Danish, some sort of Danish, whatever Danish they have, and maybe something else. Like these 2 places had the Queen Amman. I was like, I love Queen Ammans. And so, but I'll just take a slice out of them, right? But still, you have 5 pastries and you take a slice out of them, that's a whole pastry. Not a good idea. Rusty says he asked for a dollop of, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, that's boss level kind of pancake eating right there. Oh man, this thing is like, I can only leave it on for like less than a minute because it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. George says, in my humble opinion, blueberry pancakes are king, and the blueberries have to be baked in the pancakes, not on top. I agree with that. I agree with the fact that you say that the blueberries have to be baked in the pancake. They should not just be piled on top. That is not a blueberry pancake. That is pancake with a bunch of blueberries on top, which is totally different. It has to be baked in. However, I do not share the enthusiasm for blueberry pancakes. I'm sorry. I just want plain pancakes. I'm really just a plain guy, right? I want the purity of it. I want to taste the purity of the batter. I want to know the texture of the batter. Like when it comes to ice cream, like chocolate ice cream is nice. Flavored ice creams are nice. Okay, that's cool. But really, when I want to like understand the ice cream, I want vanilla. I want the base. One of my favorite ice cream experiences was at this ice cream or this gelato place in Milan, Italy. They had this thing called the Fior di Latte. So just basically a milk gelato. Oh my gosh. The cleanliness of the flavor of the dairy was so brilliant. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I like. That's my thing. But no disrespect and much respect for liking blueberry pancakes. I'm totally with you on that. They should be baked in. If they're not baked in, get out of here with that stuff. It's like the muffins, right? You want to have like blueberry muffin. I'm very particular about blueberry muffins, right? I spent like a couple years developing a blueberry muffin recipe that I really liked, based on a place that I used to have. I used to get blueberry muffins when I was a child. We finally recreated something very close to that, and it's amazing, right? But the blueberries have to be suspended correctly in the batter so they don't fall to the bottom, right? And there is a way to do that. But one thing is, never have I thought, like you've had blueberry muffins where like you open them, you eat a muffin, it's all like batter. You're like, what is this, right? What is this craziness? Where's the blueberries? I did have a blueberry muffin not too long ago where I have to say it had too many blueberries. Like it was so chock full of blueberries. It was like, how does it even hold together? Because it might as well be jam at this point. I thought that was too much. Like I can't believe I'm saying that, but there was a time when there was too many blueberries in the blueberry muffin that it wasn't as enjoyable. So Tony says that lemon poppy and cranberry orange are my go-to muffin. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I've tried. You know what? Not everybody has blueberry muffins, so I've tried a lot of different ones: cranberry, white chocolate, and strawberry muffin. The strawberry muffin was interesting. The problem with the strawberry muffins, though, I think, is that at least the one that I had, the problem with strawberries, especially compared to blueberries, is too much water, right? So the texture of the muffin isn't as nice. Oh man. So still smoking, really lovely. Oh, let's have some taste of the coffee. Now I've left that top open with this little strainer on top. Still hot, still hot. One thing I did do today that's going to be a little bit different. I wanted to try this because I bought this bottle like months ago. It's been sitting outside all winter long, getting cold, freezing, thawing out, getting cold again. And I kind of like German beers, right? And I'm not a big beer drinker. I'm not a big alcohol drinker, to be honest with you. So like, oh, I bought this bottle of I Eyinger Oktoberfest Märzen, and it's been sitting out here for like the last 3-4 months. And I'm like, man, I need to drink it. So I picked up a glass, and I thought I would give it a try. Now, who knows? It could be skunky. Oh my goodness, this heater's burning my legs. All right, there we are. I got my tobacco leaf glass here. Mm. Oh, I like that flavor. The Märzen. I like Märzen. I like Hefeweizen. What I really like when it comes to beer, there's this beer place that my friend turned me on to. Every time I'm in Germany, I'll make the effort to go. If I'm driving by that area, I'll make the effort to go to it. It's in a town called Heidelberg in Bavaria. In Heidelberg is this brew house called Brauhaus Vetter, Vettr, Vetter, Vetter. And if you go there like after November, or yeah, they have their winter Bach or Christmas Bach. I remember, man, I love that one. I like that one. That's I'm like all about that. You will do dumb things like go there, drink a liter of it, and then go on. So, that was dumb. So we're trying this Merten. Yeah, that's just nice and cold. It's probably too cold for Germans, but it's good for Americans. Mhm. So we're getting a little bit of unevenness now. I'm gonna try to even it out with the lightsaber. Guess I gotta calm down with the smoking. So here's the crazy thing. When I turn the heater on, like look at this. This heater is right here. It's on chair, so it's elevated. So my legs are actually below the bottom of the burners. But when I turn it on, that heat is cascading down to my leg. My leg is right here. And it gets pretty dark. I should probably move over more. What do you think? What do you think? Hmm? One thing I have to say that I do enjoy about being outside, like lately, is that it's fairly nice with the smoke, right? Like here, where my position here, the smoke just kind of goes out rapidly, which is the way that I prefer it. I prefer the smoke once I release the smoke, I want it to float away from me with great, haste. I don't want it to be lingering around. I hate that. George is asking, is it an electric or propane? This is propane, baby. This is propane. Only propane gives you so much power. Like, man, it's just sometimes it's not fun. Like, actually, now that I'm sitting here and I'm kind of turning myself, it's not bad. It's not terrible. Actually, for some reason, when I'm like this, it's actually the heat is not reaching my leg as much. Maybe this is the better way to sit. But as I'm holding it like this, right here, the cigar is getting warm. So it's really emanating a lot of heat. This thing is rated to put out 30,000 BTUs of heat. And it really puts out a lot. Like it's pumping the heat out. It's nice, though. It's nice now that I'm here like this. It's kind of nice. Oh. So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him, I'm thinking about getting one of those solo stoves. So we were walking around Home Depot, Costco. Costco is like, they had the solo stove, the ones that go on the tabletop, two for like 80 bucks. And I was like, oh man, maybe I should get one of those. I just don't know if they'll put out enough heat. But anyway, I was thinking about getting one of those solo stoves, the big ones, like for 500 bucks. And he's like, dude, I'll just give you my extra chimenea. I was like, what? You got an extra chimenea? He's like, yeah, you can just have that. I was like, all right. So we picked it up the other day, put it up. So now finally, I have some kind of fire pit. to work with. I'm gonna try that out soon. Gotta go dig out some, what do you call it? Some wood. Hack some wood. Oh, now it's getting hot. Now it's getting hot. Let me turn a little bit more. Expose more body parts. It's the kind of heat you could have in a sauna. So going back to our thing. So we were talking about what are we going to do for the place, right? So I think that so that's the brewing methods of it. I would like to incorporate. We're going to do this. We're going to do batch brewing, and the idea is that we're going to open. I'm hoping that we can only operate from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. 3 hours. I would like for us to do enough volume in those 3 hours and just be done. Done for the day. Don't even have to worry about it. Then there's a bunch of other space. The thing is, I want to use the other space maybe to do like classes for people. So we can do classes in the afternoon. Or I was telling my niece, if you want, we could do, you could take over in the evenings, afternoons and evenings, and do snowballs, shave ice out of it, which I think would be kind of fun. See if she's interested in some kind of entrepreneurship. But who knows? Who knows? There's still a lot to plan. Right now, the whole holdup is that I'm trying to have. I don't know if I told you. I probably told you this, but there's a woman that has the whole space. It's about 1,000 square feet. So we're going to split the space in half. But to do that, we have to build a wall to split the space, add in a service window to the exterior, as well as an entryway doorway. And man, trying to get contractors to give quotes or to return calls has been quite a challenge. And I don't know which way we're headed because, like, every time I get a quote, price is going up higher and higher and higher. I'm like, does it really cost this much? And actually, it's at a point where there's part of me that's like, man, at the price point that I'm getting quoted, is it cheaper? Is it better for me to do it myself? I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. In some ways, I think that the prices I'm getting, some of them are like maybe these are prices because they don't want to do the work. So they're just like giving some crazy price so that it'd be stupid for them not to take it, which is something I might do for certain things. So if you know any contractors, let me know. Someone starting out needs a break. I could be that person. Yeah, this is quite nice. Now that it's, now it's 9 o'clock and I'm kind of wondering, like, oh man, how are we going to make this last long enough? Oh man, let's turn this down again. This thing I'm just turning up and down, up and down, up and down. So that spiciness that we had in the first third, that was rather pronounced. It's kind of like mellow. I want to say the way I want to describe it is that it's mellowed out. It hasn't diminished necessarily. I think it's mellowed out in the fact that maybe my palate has become used to that spice. It's still got good qualities. I'd say it's still as good as the first third, It just isn't as well pronounced. Again, because I think that my palate is used to this thing. Oh, there's Steven. What's going on, Steven, man? Good to see you. How's things out there in Phoenix? All good. My friend actually was out there last week. She was out there for work. She was like, I told her like, hey, you got to go check out this Bianco. She's like, we waited in line for 90 minutes. But she did say it was really great. So that was good. That was good. That was good. How you doing, man? Everything good in the world? We're smoking the Metapa Toro from Foundation Cigars. The Metapa has been quite good. Like I've really been enjoying this cigar. Probably pretty heavily. I'm smoking it pretty heavily. So what's been going on in your world? There's been some craziness happening, like a lot of people getting shot. What was it? The one woman shot up the church in Houston. What's his name? That televangelical guy. Oh man, skinny dude, always smiling, kind of weird. Like he was on the news talking about we had a we had a shooting. He was like this. He was like, we had a shooting at our place, and he's all smiling. I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you smiling? Are you like so programmed to smile whenever you talk that like even when you're talking about tragedy, you're smiling about it? I don't understand that. Steven says smoking the Roma Craft Revenge. Excellent choice. Excellent. This has kind of got similar characteristics as far as a little bit of spiciness, but definitely and the smokability of it because it's kind of a box press, but it definitely doesn't have that forte, that power, that strength of the Revenge, that darkness. Like there's a darkness to the Revenge, right, in the flavor. This doesn't have that. It's a little bit brighter. I mean, in tone, not like acidity. Okay, let's get rid of that band. In a little while, I'll be moving into the third. I think we're definitely getting some temperature dropping now, and it's 9 o'clock because like I feel colder, right? Like I'm feeling colder. I think it's dropping. Of course, I didn't dress perfectly well for tonight. Like I've got a t-shirt, I've got this light sweatshirt, and then I've got this fleece, this fleece vest, quilted vest. That's pretty much it. I think if I'd gone with better underlayment, like let's say with a get rid of that ash. Like let's say if I went with like a merino wool or chinchilla kind of thing as an underlayment, that would have been a better way to go. And then so probably that, and then like a synthetic mid layer, and then this be better. But now we're just kind of doing this here. Brian says that during the flood in Houston, he wouldn't open his church because he had just had the carpet replaced. Judgment. I certainly would like to believe that judgment would be harder. But yeah, well, you replace the church. You can't. Here's the reality: the shepherd of Christ cannot have some dirty flock ruining his carpet, especially in a flood. Like all those people with their dirty feet, wet feet, they're going to be on his carpet. They probably got wet and they probably fell into the river or into the flood, and they're going to be muddy, and their clothes are going to be stinky, and they're going to be wet, and they're going to lie down on the carpet because they need a place to sleep and rest and to like have a respite from their hell. God, that's too much to ask from a man of Christ. I think that's not the Christ that they're following. Their Christ understands. Like, okay, you can't have these people because they're just dirty, just dirty. The dirty masses cannot be coming in. I get it. I totally get it. I mean, have you seen his church? It's massive. Like, imagine if you owned a stadium, like the arena downtown Baltimore, right? You own that. 15,000, 20,000 seats, hundreds of thousands of square foot, and you replace the carpet. How many millions did that cost? You got to do it again? Hell no. These people can be The Lord will take care of them. They can find, they can perish in the flood, and they can, find their own respite in the afterlife. Brian says, I would have locked my doors too, but that's why I didn't start a church. It's all right. It's all right. God understands. God understands. If Christ had shoes, he would understand too. I gotta tell you, when I first there was a time when I was younger, in my 20s, early 20s, I was like considering, faith, trying to figure out like what did I really believe. So I started going to visit a lot of churches, masses, different services to see like. I grew up Catholic, right? So that's all I knew. I was like, I'm gonna try to check this out. And I remember I went to a Mormon ward because I was dating a girl that was Mormon. Oof, good times, good times. Two Mormon girls, fabulous. Anyway, went to one of the wards, and I'm looking there. Here's a photo of Christ. Like, okay, so Catholic Church, right? We have photos of Christ. He's pretty. Christ looks kind of white, right? Regardless of where he comes from, right? The guy's from like Galilee, right? Like Nazareth. Like, there's no white people in Nazareth, right? Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. You look at even today. What are we talking about? Right? They all look like Osama bin Laden. And so I go to this place, and man, the Mormon Jesus. Holy smokes, man. I have never seen a white Jesus, a Jesus more white than the Mormon Jesus. Like that guy, that Christ looks like he walked out of Provo. You're like, whoa, dude, that guy has never seen the desert. He's never seen like sun. All he's seen is like snow. I was like, holy moly. That's a Joel Osteen. That's right. That's a Joel Osteen. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's such an interesting thing. So, as I was exploring different faiths, I just kind of noted like what I would see, and like in most other churches seem to have like not as white Christs, but this one, man, he was like, you can look him up on if you put in Mormon Jesus in your Google search and look at images, you'll see him. He's like, there's even one where they have him like shaved, like Jesus decided to shave, and like he's all like, and I was like, man, that is crazy. There was a time when they didn't allow black people into the Mormon church because they're the belief is that they're marked by Cain because of this color of their skin is the mark of Cain, and so they are, I guess, dirty and unworthy and sinful or whatever they say. And I got to know the Mormon church because I was living in Hawaii at the time, and there's a lot of like Polynesian people that are Mormons, brown skinned people, and I'm like, how do you guys like rectify this, right? And they were like, well, back in the 1950s or whatever it was, 60s, God told whoever Smith was running the place that the black people can join the church now because they don't no longer have the mark of Cain. I was like, wait, what do you want? For millennia, for the last 2 millennia, these people had the mark of Cain. They were unclean. They were unworthy of being part of the church. And then suddenly, the Lord just spoke. What? I don't know. Like, we've never heard this. Like I don't know. Like, there's all these faiths that believe in a God, Christ. Let's say the Christ ones, right? The Christian people, right? That believe. No time in the last 2 millennia has the Lord spoken to anyone. Right after He gave the commandments, that's it. I was like, what? What? I was like, what kind of Kool-Aid are they serving at that church? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. I got to see a lot of different, religious faiths, and I didn't find one that I was going to switch to. You know, not to say that they're all perfect, right? I'm not saying Catholicism is perfect. Like, there's a lot of flaws in Catholicism, but it's just like, well, it is the evil that I know. It is the evil I understand the best. And when it came time for a confirmation class when I was in seventh grade, I went to all boys military school for like first to eighth grade. So, man, when I got to seventh grade, we are like, you can go to confirmation class at church. And I went to confirmation class, and they were girls. Oh my gosh. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I went to that first class, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at these girls. I went upstairs to the to the ceremony, and I lit a candle. I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I put my quarter inside the little box and lit a candle. I was like, thank you. I will be back every week to light my candle. I was just telling you that like I like being on here because it goes away. That last puff was kind of like it kind of lingered a little bit, right? There's always this whole thing about the fluid dynamics, right? Air is a fluid, right? And the way that it works is so, it's like the Lord. This fluid dynamics works in mysterious ways. I don't really understand it. I was just thinking about my exhaust in the kitchen. So at my house, we got this Gen Air cooktop that has a downdraft exhaust, which I don't know, maybe. I mean, I guess it's cool because it's like, it removes the hood, but it doesn't seem to work the most effective. And I was looking at it yesterday. I was cooking yesterday. I was like looking at it. Only this morning, I was cooking eggs, and I'm looking at the smoke coming off the pan or the steam, and it's going up and then down. I said, okay. But I started wondering, like, sometimes it doesn't work so efficiently. And I was thinking, what if maybe what I need to do is open a window to get more airflow to help push all the smoke down. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. I don't know. This is what I think about when I'm sitting around at home. Like today, I'm sitting here. No, like this week. This week's been like this. I haven't left the house much. So now, ever since we closed the roastery, I moved all of my desk and everything here. Uh oh. Uh oh. Uh oh. I think I'm running out of. Oh. Uh oh. That's what I was afraid of. At 4 o'clock today, I thought I should go run out and buy another tank, and I did not. So now I have no heat. But I do have a backup plan. So hang on for a second. Let me go grab one thing. I'm gonna leave you here for a moment. All right, all right. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Now I got another puffy jacket, a little bit thinner in the house, just had it right inside the door. So now I got puffy and puffy, so double puff, like the state puff man. So I think that'll be good. Ooh. Guess I'm gonna have to go to Ace Hardware tomorrow morning. Tomorrow I gotta get ready because I got a blood appointment. Got to get some blood tests taken. For my physical, my checkup. Got to go see my PCP next week, so I had to schedule some blood testing to be taken tomorrow. So I can't eat tonight. Which all this, of course, is really inopportune. I've been doing so well lately. A lot of like salads and vegetables. But I had this whole stint for the last 3 weeks where I'm tasting all these pastries. So I had a little bit of a bump. So I'm sure that's going to show up in my blood tests and my PCPs. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, sorry, I was in the middle of this whole thing. I'm back on track now. But I have been doing these. That coffee's still hot. I've been buying these bagged salads from Costco and from the grocery store. They come in a bag and they have all the components. All the vegetables are chopped, and then you have like whatever condiments, like whatever syrup, dressing is being used. You put all that and you just toss it all together. It's really, really nice. I'm sure she'll find a way to be like, okay, you need to like maybe don't use all of the dressing, but it's dressing that I really like. Some of them I don't like. Like there's this one called the Mexican street corn salad. That's okay. And then what else did I have? I had also this other Southwest. There was a Southwest version that was okay. But I really have like enjoyed this sweet kale salad that Costco has. They have this like poppy corn dressing I'm enjoying, some dried cranberries. Oh, I like that. Brian says salad, vegetables, pastries, and yeah, that's like got to have a salad to balance out the pastry and pancakes. All right, so we are past the second third, and I'm going to say the second third as good as the first third. So 8.5 for flavor, very good plus for body as well. 17 again. So pretty good. Nothing too bad. All right. I like my beanie. I picked this up recently. What does it say? It says the Holiday Hustle 5K. I did not run 5K. I did not walk 5K. I did not do anything 5K. I just went to the shoe store warehouse still that they were selling it and got it for $5. That was my $5 for the 5K. So when I go to the bars, the girls will think that, oh, you did the 5K? Yeah. I did it in 2:30. I did it in 2:04. 2 minutes, 4 seconds? No. 2 hours, 4 minutes. That kind of thing. So the coffee is still good, actually, man. It's solid. It's still hot. It's not like scalding hot anymore, but still very nice and hot. I'm sure if I had actually kept the lid on it, it would be hotter, but it does have this little thing on it, which helps to control the heat dissipation. I don't know if you've seen the video that I have on, speaking of pastries and heat dissipation, I have a new video on the main channel that came out yesterday about the Stanley pour over that we used 2 weeks ago. And in that video, I go over how to use the pour over, but more importantly, that was in the middle of all my testing, and went to a place called the Woodley Bakery. And the Woodley Bakery, as I was there, they had this donut, and I was like, I gotta buy that. $3 for this donut. They only make 6 of these donuts a day. But if you go look at the video, you'll see this donut. This donut is crazy. It's ridiculous. Chocolate covered donut, chocolate top donut, yeasted raised yeasted, and it's like this. And that's not exaggeration. You go check it out. Go look at it when you get a moment. It is a massive donut. I did not eat the whole donut. Like in the video, maybe it looks like I will eat the whole donut, but I do not eat the whole donut. That was just like, I can't imagine eating the whole thing. I'd probably have convulsions from like the sugar. And if you eat that donut, if you were pre-diabetic before you eat the donut, you are diabetic after you eat the donut. That's how crazy that donut is. A little bit of spiciness coming alive now that we're getting really towards the end of the cigar. So not bad. Somebody's driving. What else been happening? So this week I was like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been doing this whole like double edge razor shaving, right? That old school razor kind of shaving for the last like 3 years. I started like in November of 2020. Just kind of got curious about it. And so, I read this forum online from double edge razor guys. And just like in any pursuit that guys do, these guys are like, will go deep into it, right? They've got like, so there's the blades, and then there's the razors themselves, the tool that you put the blades in. And then there's, of course, there's the soaps that you use for the lathering. There's the brushes, the shaving brushes. And then there's, of course, the bowls. And as with anything, these guys, they've got tons of them, like tons and tons. Like, I have been very vigilant in my exploration of it, not to go deep, right? I got one basic razor that I bought for like $20. This Vanderhagen, really basic, really simple, really like entry level. I still haven't moved away from it. But I have been buying online these sample packs of blades. So you pay like $30, $40 and they give you like 5 blades of each, like maybe 5 to 7 sets of 5 blades each. And one of the brands is called Astra. Some of them are made like in India, some of them are made in Russia. But the Astras, like I used one a while back, and man, I felt like it was just tearing me apart, like just like ripping on me. Like I was like, oh God, I can't do it. And then I switched to, I'll switch out every time I switch a blade, every 3 shaves, I'll switch out the blade, and then I'll go to a different brand, just try it out. So the last 2 I've been using are these Lois, Loi. And man, I really was like, oh man, I really like the way it glides. I like the way it feels. There's no nicks, there's no cuts. And then yesterday, I went back to the Astra. Man, brutal. It was like hacking my face away. I was like, holy crap, man. Like I cut myself, like it nicked me like 3 times. I was like bleeding. I was like, oh God. And I didn't even finish right here. So I was like, you know what? I'm just dropping that. I grabbed my old cartridge razor, those cheap thick cartridge razors that have like 5 blades in them. I was like, finished it up. And I was like, okay, I can't go back to this. And I'm talking to the guys online, like, hey, what's up with these Astros? And they're like, oh yeah, man, the Astros kind of suck. One guy was like, I only use that for making bread. I was like, good idea, man. What do you use that for my bread making? Genre, do you guys do that kind of shaving? If you do you have a preferred blade? They say the feathers are like, the Japanese made feathers are the most sharp of them all. And I've used them in the past, and I think I like them. But I think based on this round, and after 3 years of doing it, I'm starting to get a feel for it. And so like the loys were really nice. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go into the next one I should go into is the pack of like feathers that I have, see how that does. One guy was responding, he kind of has my thought at heart. Like he was like, I don't know about the three because I only use my blades once. And then he tosses them. And I was like, that's what I've been thinking. Like the blades are pretty cheap, right? Like you can buy 100 pack of blades for like $50. It's not terribly expensive. Now, if you use a blade 3 times, right? So if you buy 100 pack, you can get 300 shaves out of it. Now, for me, maybe I'll shave 3 times a week. That's 100 weeks. Is that right? No, no, three. Yeah, that's 100 weeks of shaving. 2 years worth of shaving. I think if I only did 3 times a week, I could go down. I could do 100 pack, $50 a year, and have fresh shaves every time. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about this. I've been actually thinking about this off and on for the last 6 months. I still keep the cartridge shavers or the cartridge razors because I travel. So when I travel, I don't bring all this apparatus with me. Like I don't want to have like it's like with coffee. Like I like nice coffee, but I'm not going to make coffee on the road. Like I'm not going to bring a grinder. I'm not going to bring a brewer. I'm not going to bring a kettle. I'm not bringing any of that stuff. I'm just going to go find coffee somewhere else. So like when I'm traveling, I don't want. I'm not going to bring a bowl. I'm not going to bring a brush. I'm not going to bring like the lathering stuff. I'm not going to bring the razor and the blades. I'm just going to bring a gel like travel bit gel thing, and I'm going to bring like uh, cartridge razors so that if I want to toss it, I can toss it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Well, tell me everything. I'm interested to know. Let's have some more. That is nice. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my own personal like prejudice, but I really tend to gravitate more towards the German-made wines than American-made wines. But beers. But honestly, I don't really know. I don't know beards. I mean, I don't know beers. Craig is with us. What's up, Craig? Strap your blades on some old denim after each use, and they'll be sharp from. Oh, yeah, but this Astra, man, I just think there's something. The guys were saying there's something about it that are just not as good. Of course, there's always going to be everyone's face is different, right? So some of the other guys were like, "Oh, I love Astras. They're great." I was like, "I don't know, man. Just my face. It's just catching and nicking." I was like, "It's like, good lord!" Like, and I've got this. Is it here? Yeah, you can see it here. I got this like blackhead, not blackhead, but like this birthmark or whatever. Man, I remember the first time I was shaving. Like, if I have the cartridge blades, I can just not even think about it. First time I did the razor, man, I cut that off, man. It just whenever I do that, every once in a while I'll cut this, and it just bleeds profusely. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm gonna bleed out. But I don't know. What do you think? Like Craig, you say strap it on denim, but with razor blades being so affordable, does one really need to even bother to strap it? And are you stropping it in the razor itself? Like if this is the razor, should I just be taking it and just doing that? So a different experience now. Like early on, we had very spicy, complex. Second, third, it kind of I think it was still probably the same. Just maybe my palate was getting used. Was just kind of getting dull to it, used to it. There's a little bit more. I want to say depth to it now. Probably because we're getting closer to the end. More concentration of everything, but still pleasant, still enjoyable. I do kind of wish my heater was still working. Hands are a little bit cold. I was listening to an article, or not an article, but I listened to a podcast called Cooking Issues with a guy named Dave Arnold, who's the host. And Dave was talking, this past week's episode, he had a guy named Andre Mack as his guest. And Andre, if you're not familiar, is a sommelier who started out at the French Laundry, worked at a bunch of places, and now works for Bon Appetit, where he makes videos on YouTube for Bon Appetit about wines. And I've seen his videos before. And I really enjoy his videos. He's really kind of an interesting sommelier, informative. And I was looking at his catalog of videos, and I saw this one where he's talking. He says answering questions about wine. I was like, you know what? We need to do that for coffee, like answering coffee questions about coffee. Oh, Craig says that I strop cartridge razors. Really? So you just take the cartridges, do this? Is that it? On denim, like your jeans? You can just use the jeans you wear. You don't have to use like a old jeans. I don't think I have any old jeans that like I'm not using to wear, but I will try that. You're stropping not against the edge. You're chopping with the edge, right? Actually, when I think about how people strop single razors with the leather, I think they're going backwards on the blade, right? So I thought about those videos, and I was like, man, maybe I should make videos, answering coffee questions. So I've been looking at different people, popular questions, commonly asked questions about coffee. So I got to figure out where I'm going to shoot that. Like, I want to have a nice little background. Like, he's got a nice like set. I no longer have a set, so I have to like figure out a better way to do it. Craig says with the edge, but fabric in two directions. Okay, okay. I think I got that. I will try it. I will try it and report back on my progress. Oh, Craig, I meant to ask you, a while back we were talking on the show about Lance Hedrick video about the Laylet. The Laylet, was it the Laylet? Oh, some espresso machine that, people had some consternation about. And I wasn't clear after, our show, and then I went to go look at the videos. So I remember you said that you had some comments about it, some criticism about it. Were your criticisms about the way that he did his review and his conclusions? Because from what I remember, I didn't really watch the video that closely in its entirety. I watched part of it or kind of glanced through it, skipped through it. But I was more like I read all the comments to see. But I didn't think people were. I don't know. I didn't think people were bashing on Lance as much as I had expected from what we had talked about. So I'm curious to know, like, what your criticisms were of his video, and kind of like curious to know, like, what prompted his response video after that, where he started talking about how he's only going to buy equipment now rather than get equipment from manufacturers. Because I thought that people would be excoriating him for like being a shill for manufacturers, but I didn't really get that in the comments that I read, and I didn't really get the impression of that from his video. So I'm interested to know like what else really played around that. Because sometimes I think with the main channel, maybe we should do more, not necessarily review videos, because I'm just not willing to go through all the stuff that you have to do like these thorough videos. Like, I'll watch in the YouTube tech world, the camera side of things. I'll watch a guy named Gerald Undone. He does a lot of camera reviews. He's super thorough. Like, he's probably one of the best camera reviewers out there for video. No, for YouTube video. And he does all this testing and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't really have the time to sit around and test equipment to the nth degree. And I don't know if I'm the right person to do that. Like, I just don't have that level of interest and enthusiasm for technical details. So Mom has a question. I have a question. When using a French press, can you top off the coffee again and drink? Well, I'm almost 100% sure that people do. Whether you should might be the better question, might be the more accurate question. So like, let's say this coffee, right? So we've got this coffee and we brewed with it and it's been sitting around now. We could add hot water to it and try it again. I think that you would, if you wanted to get the best possible results, I think you'd want to come back with as hot a water just off the boil, 200 degrees, 195 Fahrenheit, something like that. And instead of doing a 4-minute steep, you probably want to go longer, maybe 6, maybe 8 minutes to really try to get more of that extraction out of it. Because pretty much the idea is that we've expended the good stuff. So let's think about it like espresso. Espresso is probably one of the more readily demonstrable theories on this. So if we think about espresso, right, we'll load the portafilter, lock it in place, hit the button, and it starts to come out. And we see it come out really thick and syrupy, and it's coming out slowly, right? It's flowing, it's drooping, it's coming out. And then as time goes by, as more water flows through the coffee, as the coffee releases more of its oils and flavors and solubles, that stream starts to become more watery, right? It looks watery. It goes from like being hopefully a dark brown color. It starts to become more blonde, right? Blonde and blonde and blonde and blonde. Now, it becomes blonde because we've already extracted all of the really nice qualities out of it. And we've pretty much stripped everything or majority of everything that can come out of the coffee. With brewed coffee, we're doing essentially the same thing, except we're doing it over a longer period of time. We're doing about 4 minutes versus 30 seconds. But I think the same parallel will apply. I think that if you were to do that, you would not have as an enjoyable a cup as the original. Depending on your tastes, it may be perfectly acceptable, right? Like if some people have coffee that's more watery, right? What in the world was that? Did you guys see that? This big thumbs up? Oh, I've never seen that before. That just freaked me out, the first one. And so I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to find that it'll be a much more watery, much thinner brew. And we've all had coffees over the years that was very thin, right? I think it'll be more like that. Certainly worth trying. I mean, after you brewed your cup and you want to try again, it won't hurt you to try it. Then you can find out for sure if that's something you like. And maybe it is something you like. No judgments here. That's one thing that I must say that I have kind of found that after 20 plus years in the business, making coffee, I'm less prone to judging people based on what they like. It's like, okay, you like that. That's fruit. That's cool. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good. Are you enjoying the coffee? Good. Good. Especially as a retailer of coffee or wholesaler of coffee, once you sell it and you give it to your user, they're going to do whatever they want with it. Like I had a little bit of a intrigue back 15 some years ago when we started Spro and Hamden. When we were buying coffee from a woman by the name of Ida Batye in El Salvador. And this was a really lovely coffee, really rare coffee. We were selling for $15 a cup. People got wildly upset. People were very upset. They were like, "Oh, how can you do that?" Like I heard she got upset, and I was like, "Well, this is what we do." Oh, I know. They were upset also because I froze the coffee. I would freeze the coffee. Right? We get the coffee in, we put it in the deep freeze, and then we would use it. We would pull it out of the freezer, use it, portion it out, brew with it, put it back in the freezer, and this is really early in the business. This is like 2000. Actually, it's not that early. It was 2010. But by 2010, with freezing coffees, I had already had at least probably 7 years of experience freezing coffee. And so I was very confident in the fact that we can deliver a high quality cup despite the freezing. And this is when people were thinking freezing is just bad. That's been disproven or proven to be fine. Mainly why that is because when you roast, so when you buy coffee in its green state, you want it, we want to have it somewhere between maybe at the very lowest moisture content of 9.5% moisture content. At the very most, we want to have 11% moisture, right? So if you take meat, and I looked this up years ago, and I don't recall the percentages, but if you take meat, steak, for example, sausage, let's say steak, because steak's more, and you take that ribeye, that nice ribeye, you toss it in the freezer, you freeze it. It's pretty wet, right? It's a wet product. And you thaw it out, you cook it, it's perfectly fine. No problem. It's got a very high moisture content. I forgot, maybe it's like 20%, 30%. Now, if you take tomatoes or green beans, hardcore verts, and I did this once. I took hardcore verts and I vacuum bagged them, which probably led to the problem because when you vacuum bag something, especially put it under heavier pressure, heavier vacuum, it will kind of like what happens is it kind of expands the cell structure and can pop it. But I think this will be the same result. Maybe it won't be the same result. Maybe it was just a vacuum. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? But when I took this vacuum bag and I cut it open and I cooked with it later, man, it's just mealy. Like if you take tomatoes and you freeze them, very mealy. The texture's just terrible. You can always tell when when you've got tomatoes that have been frozen at some point in the chain because it has that mealy texture. And that's because as the tomato freezes, especially if you're freezing it like just in your freezer, like in a commercial freezer or even a home freezer, it's a slow freeze. So therefore, it crystallizes, right? The water crystallizes and basically breaks the cell structure of the product, and that's what leads to the mealiness. With these hardcore verts, I put it in a vacuum bag, and I think that probably led to part of the destruction of the cell structure, and then it froze, and then we cooked it, and it was just terrible. It was just disgusting. Like I wouldn't even eat it. I wouldn't serve it to anyone. However, if you quick freeze something, like let's say you're buying frozen vegetables, let's because you can buy frozen green beans, and they're perfectly fine because they're industrially froze, and they're put in very hot, very cold temperatures, and they freeze them super fast, like almost instantaneous. And when you do that, the crystalline structure is very tiny, so it doesn't break the cell structure. And you can test this on you've probably tasted this on your own, like with ice cream, right? You buy commercial ice cream, let's say like a Haagen-Dazs, right, or Ben and Jerry's or whatever, those little things, and you get it, you buy it and you eat it. It got this lovely texture, right, like nice and luscious and smooth and creamy. But if you take that, you let it melt. Let's say you just leave it sitting on the counter, it melts down, and then you refreeze it. It's all like icy. That is a great example of the ice crystalline, becoming ice crystals, right, because of the slow refreeze or the slow freezing. But when we talk about coffee, even green beans, green and roaster will work in similar ways in that 11% moisture for the green. And then like when you roast the coffee, you're roasting because what you're doing with roasting, you're really driving off the moisture. So when you take a pound of coffee, you put it into a roaster, you roast it, let's say to a medium or light roast, you're going to have somewhere between 14 to 16% weight loss in the product. That's because you're driving off with heat the moisture in the beans. And once you've driven off enough moisture, that's when caramelization takes place, right? And that's why it turns brown. So when you get roasted coffee, it's about 2 to 3% moisture, if that. I think 2 to 3% is accurate. And but even 11% is still fine. So when you have that leavened or to 2 to 11% moisture, there's not enough moisture in that product to destroy the cell structure, even under a slow freeze, right? It will not break the cell structure. So you will not have destruction of your product. So freezing is perfectly fine. And so like when people were like, oh, you're freezing the coffee, like people were like, they were kind of mad. And I was like, what are you mad about? I'm still presenting this coffee in a very thoughtful and amazing way. Like it's not impacting the quality of the product. Now, that was a whole battle I had to fight with people. Industry people. Now, 15 some years later, that's no longer a battle because everyone's, finally realized that, oh yeah, there's no real difference. And we did tests. Like I did a test back in 2009, 2010, where I took a coffee that I had received from a friend of mine, from James Hoffman. You guys who watch YouTube coffee stuff. James Hoffman is an old buddy of mine. And so he, back in April of 2009, he gave me a bag of coffee from Square Mile. And I took it. Took it back to the shop, cupped it critically, made a bunch of notes, did a scoring, everything on it to like really, categorize the coffee. Put it in deep freeze. Fast forward 6, 7 months. I was training the staff for the original opening staff for Spro and Hamden, teaching them how to cup and everything. So after I taught them how to cup for like a month or two, I put this coffee on the table as one of the coffees on the table, and we went around. The way we do is we do blind tasting, and then talk about the notes that we would have in scoring. And pretty much the notes and scores that they gave for this coffee that Hoffman gave me back in April was the same in October. And my team did not know that this is the coffee from 6 months ago. They thought it was just whatever coffee. They thought it was like, fresh coffee. And it really helped to confirm that, there is no degradation. So where was I leading with this? So the idea that freezing, so yeah, I've got a, a bunch of people were upset with me, but freezing is perfectly an acceptable way to go with coffee. But to bring it back to the, you can, I think you can steep it again. You definitely will not get equivalent results as the original brew, but you might get something you're willing to drink, especially if you're trying to get the most out of your dollar for the coffees. Although I do feel that coffee is relatively a affordable product, even the expensive, the more pricier stuff. Let's say like not the stuff you buy at Costco, not the stuff you buy at like regular roasters, but like nicer roasters. Their product is relatively decently priced, and I don't know if you're going to get the value you're hoping out of it. I'm having a little bit of combustion problem now. I think that the coffee has relatively stayed. I mean, the cigars relatively stayed the same. I'm going to hit it with some. See if I can get this one to work. Should have put that in my pocket. So what I have found with this jacket, right? I had this Hershey bar here. The other day it was kind of chilly, 30s, and I had this Hershey bar. I put it in my pocket in this hoodie, in this vest, this fleece vest, this puffy vest. And it's sitting there, man. And I reached in a little while later, pulled it out, and it was melted. It was all like mushy and like liquidy inside. I was like, wait a minute, that's just from my body heat. So these jackets do work. So I'm gonna see if I can use the saber to relight. The force is strong with this one. Look at that. Oh, but that metal is very cold. So this is one thing I have to, if I do that video about the questions, I have to think about the answers, because otherwise, man, it's going to be like an hour-long video for 4 questions. So, Craig, you didn't tell us what cigar you're smoking tonight. All right, so it looks like we're going to have, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the Mirfell tasting back down at Capitol. So if you guys want to come down on the 29th of February, on the leap year day, come down, join us. Let's have a little outing. Also, one thing I'm curious, like last week when we were doing the Roma Craft show at Capitol, you know, we had there were times we'd have to move around and switch camera angles. Was it did that get a bit too chaotic for you guys, or was that all right? Unfortunately, with this service, this StreamYard service, the phone interface doesn't really allow me to switch camera modes quickly. I have to go into the menu systems and do all that. So it does get it's a little bit cantankerous. Oh, no cigar tonight. Oh, I'm surprised, man. Too cold out there in Ottawa? Is that why? We are taking this all the way down. About an hour ago, I was a little bit concerned that we wouldn't have enough time to finish it. Or we would finish it before the show time would be up, but looks like that wasn't really well founded. But we're here now, and it's been really quite enjoyable. It's, of course, a little bit stronger, a little bit harsher now, but I think that's to be expected because of the proximity of to the end. But I think we can go ahead and score. I think we're really still at very good plus for the body and flavor. The burn has been really great. Draw has been really great. So I'm going to say we're at 925. Very consistent. I'm saying 9 for the consistency. So overall, I'm going to say 875. Oh, and I don't have, of course, the calculators on the phone. So let's have a look at this. 975, 925, so 1825, 875, 1617, 27, 878. Then we had 75. So if my calculations are correct, we're at 85.5. Baldhead says, just recovering from Super Bowl weekend. Oh, yeah, I get it. So a lot of cigars over the weekend. I'm glad you said that. How'd your teams do? That was kind of I thought it was really great. I thought Super Bowl was really, really good this year. Not a very high scoring game, but you know what, man, really exciting. You know, from the time when I used to have season tickets to the Orioles, I mean to the Ravens, the games I hated the most were overtime games because if you could just finish the game in regulation, it's all good, right? You know you won, you know you lost, but then you have the sudden death type of overtime, and man, you're just like, oh my gosh, are we ever gonna win? Are we gonna win? Or are we gonna lose? It's so to me it was so stressful. So I was kind of stressed. And then I don't know if you saw this, but you saw that. I don't know if you saw the report. I saw it on. I think I posted on my Facebook. But there was after the game, there was some 49ers that were like, well, we don't really understand the overtime rules. And I said, what? I don't know if that's a. I think that's a cop out. Like that's not something that you could say. Like the lowest paid guy on any NFL team, like Purdy, the quarterback, the rookie quarterback for the 49ers, he's on his team, he's the lowest paid guy. Right? First year rookie, minimum salary. So this is the league minimum now. This is what you get when you're a first year rookie. Actually, rookie is not considered first year. First year player is after your rookie year, which is higher. But a rookie player gets $750,000 a season. If you're making at least $750,000, this is your life, right? There's no excuse that you don't know the rules. Like you don't get like you don't necessarily get a break from the police when you get pulled over speeding because you didn't know the speed limit. One of my friends, I think he's a 49ers fan, he was kind of defending that. I was, come on, man. The guy makes 750,000 a year. At least it's their job to know the rules and how to exploit them or how to avoid getting pinched by them. So to say that, okay, well, we thought that by scoring the game will be over, and we're like, the game's not over. So, what do you mean? You know, I don't care. Even though it's a new rule, it's your job to know the rules. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Anyway, that's it. The Foundation Metapa Toro, Claro Toro, 85.5, really great score. I'm going to put that in our ranking. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Next week we're back with the other cigar, which is a it's this one that has a cap that looks like another cigar, and someone called it like a faux something. I can't remember what it was faux of. I think it was a faux of one of those that guy that wraps his cigars in tobacco leaf. That guy. I think this is like a ripoff of that guy. I don't know what it is, but anyway, we're gonna try that next week. That's gonna be our next week's show. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here as always. We'll be back again next week, Thursday, whatever that day is. It's the 15th now, so 7 days from now it'll be the 22nd. Be back here on February 22nd, 8 p.m. So come and join us. Hope you have a great week, and see you next time.